G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, I'm about to play you two videos. The first one is from the White House press conference a few days ago, where the journalist asked the White House spokesperson about the hypocrisy of how President Joe Biden is treating Julian Assange and up against how they're treating Evan Gershkovich, who is currently in jail in Russia for alleged espionage. But Joe Biden is trying to extradite Julian Assange to the US for espionage and jail him for years and years. So I'll show you that video in a second, and then I'm going to show you a video from 2019 of Prime Minister Anthony Albanese talking the big game in relation to journalism is not a crime and protecting whistleblowers, and also how governments need to be open and transparent, which that's from 2019 when he was opposition leader. Now he's in government and Prime Minister. He's changed his tune where he's persecuting whistleblowers, doing bugger all to help Julian Assange, although he's claiming he's doing plenty. And he's not very transparent at all. He's trying to conceal almost everything, almost to the same level or greater than former Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Now, I've just published an article on my website in relation to the matter, and I'll just read you out the first couple of paragraphs. Now, the article is titled President Joe Biden and Prime Minister Anthony Albanese exposed for hypocrisy on Julian Assange and US journalist Evan Gershkovich. US President Joe Biden has been exposed as a hypocrite for continuing with the persecution of Julian Assange based on trumped-up espionage charges, while at the same time Biden is accusing Russia of jailing American journalist Evan Gershkovich based on fabricated espionage charges. Biden's hypocrisy hasn't gone unnoticed in the US, as per the below video, where a White House journalist asked Biden's spokesperson about Biden's double standards with Julian Assange and Evan Gershkovich. Biden's spokesperson refused to answer the direct question and rambled on, which is like what Anthony Albanese does when asked about Assange. But I'll show you the White House video now.
One more press freedom question. Advocates on Twitter today have been talking a great deal about how the United States is engaged in hypocrisy by talking about how Evan Gershkovich is held in Russia on espionage charges, but the United States has Espionage Act charges pending against Julian Assange. Can you respond to that criticism?
What is the criticism?
Well, the criticism is that the argument is that Julian Assange is a journalist who engaged in the publication of government documents. The United States is accusing him of crime under the Espionage Act, and that therefore the United States is losing the moral high ground when it comes to the question of whether a reporter engages in espionage as a function of his work. So can you respond to that?
Look, I'm not going to speak to Julian Assange in that case from here. What I will say is, and you heard directly from the president when today in his statement on this anniversary, but also during the dinner where he talked about the freedom of the press and how important it is to protect journalists, because it is part of our democracy, right? It is important to have that if we want to have a democracy, right? It is part of how we move forward, telling the facts, being able to tell the truth, and be able to reporters to do that freely. And so the president's going to continue to speak to that. The president's going to continue to work to make sure that these Americans who are, again, held hostage, who are wrongfully detained, come home. And that is something that we have seen under this administration. He's been able to do more than a dozen times. And so you see this president's commitment in just this last 2 years. We put forward additional tools to do that, to deal with this matter. And so that's what I can speak to. That's what I can speak to the president's commitment on this. I'm not going to weigh in on comments about Julian Assange.
Joe Biden will be in Australia in a couple of weeks, so it'd be great to see the Australian press, Australian journalists ask Joe Biden the same question about his hypocrisy and the way he's treating Julian Assange, but then he's demanding Russia let Evan Gershkovich free. I'll show you the Anthony Albanese video from 2019.
Journalism is not a crime. It's essential to preserving our democracy. We don't need a culture of secrecy. We need a culture of disclosure. Protect whistleblowers, expand their protections and the public interest test. Reform freedom of information laws so they can't be flouted as they have been by this government. The current delays, obstacles, costs and exemptions make it easier for the government to hide information from the public than to actually give it out. That is just not right. We must bring in stronger protections for public interest journalism. Don't prosecute journalists for just doing their jobs. We need to enshrine in law the changes required to protect press freedom.
Now, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is a hypocrisy in relation to the way he treats journalists, the way he is running a secret government, trying to hide freedom of information which should be readily available to journalists and the public, and the way he's treating whistleblowers. Now, the picture behind me is a picture I've used in the article, and I've used that same picture to sort of drive home that it's these two blokes who are trying to silence Julian Assange. He's behind me in the picture, and at the moment he has been silenced by them, and they didn't start it, but they're continuing with the silencing of Julian Assange. So when they say they're big defenders of journalism and freedom of speech, etc., well, that's a total lie. The Kangaroo Court of Australia is independent media. I'm reliant on donations to keep on publishing. So please support my Patreon account. I'm currently sitting on 225 supporters, donating $1,338 a month. The ultimate target is to get to 1,000 supporters, and it'd be great if I could get to 500 supporters in the next few months. So you can donate there. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, whatever suits your budget. It all helps out. There's a link to the Patreon account below the video on YouTube, and also there's links on my website, Kangaroo Court of Australia. And please share this video on Facebook and Twitter, etc. Thank you for your time and have a good day.